Hello and welcome to a new section. This lecture we are going to talk about Introduction to MySQL for Command and Control Server. File-based data storage. This is the existing system which we have been implementing up to now. Basically, it is a file-based data storage system. In the server side, the Command and Control Server side, you will notice that every data is stored in files. The command string text file will store the commands which the server wants the client to execute, and the file is created through the control server PHP script. The red string text file contains the result of the execution, and this is created through the red string PHP script called by the client. So basically, every time a command and control server wants to execute a command, you will need to create a file, and every time a client have finished executing a command, it will save the result string of that command execution in a file. And then if the command and control server wants to view the result of the execution, it will have to open the red string file to see the result of the execution. So everything is based on files. So what are the limitations of this? Limitations of file-based storage. Can store only one client read data at a time. This is so because every time a client read connects, there is only one connection to the server. And every time it saves a file, every time it saves data, it needs to open two files. It needs at least two files for each client read. It cannot accept multiple client reads, therefore botnet is not possible. So in this system, it is only a one client and one command control server system, which is very limited. So how can we improve this so that we can have multiple clients? We use MySQL. So the advantages of MySQL. MySQL is a database engine, and it is also free, and anybody can use it. MySQL database engine can store multiple client readboard records. Records are stored in a table. So the table looks like this. We have a table and we have multiple records. Each record is one horizontal row. Each row in the table represents one client. Easy to view and manage multiple clients, makes it possible to implement a botnet read system. So that is a powerful advantage of having a MySQL database. So this example of a table is called the clients table, whose purpose is to store records of all the client reads which connect to the server. Each horizontal row is called a record, so you can have as many records as you like, which means you can accept multiple connections from different clients. Each vertical column is an attribute. The first column is ID, and this is a primary key. A primary key is a number which uniquely identifies each record. Then we have the name column. The name attribute will store the host name of the computer that connects to the server. And then the IP address column stores the IP address, and then the command column stores the command that the server wants to execute on the client. The red string column stores the result of the execution of the command. So these vertical columns are called attributes, and you can go on keep on adding as many columns as you like, as many attributes as you like. So, but for purposes of our course, I don't want to confuse you with too many complex code, so we'll keep it simple. We'll just keep very few columns as easier to manage and to code. But feel free to keep on adding your own attributes if you like. So this is what a table looks like. And then to insert record, to delete, to retrieve record, read records, update records, and so on, we need to use a special language which MySQL understands. That language is called SQL language. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. So for the client to create a new record, you will use this statement: insert into clients table in the column name and IP the values. So the first question mark refers to the name, the second question mark refers to the IP. So each one of these is called a query, even though some of them are set, read, delete, and updates and so on, still they are called queries. Second one is server sets commands for clients. So this is a SQL query for that. Update clients table, set a CMD column into question mark where name equals question mark. So this question mark here refers to the actual string that you are going to insert into the table. Third one is client reads command. Select command from CMD here means the column, CMD column, referring to this column CMD. So select CMD column from the clients table. Clients table of course refers to this table here, where the name equals to question mark. So when you provide a name, it will go and search the name from this column, and once it finds it, it will insert the necessary commands into the correct column and into the correct record. Client sets return result string. The SQL query for that is update clients table, set the red string column equals to this, where the name equals to this. So what it does is it will search for the name, a specific name in this table. So if you give a name a beta, it will search for beta, and once it finds it, it's going to insert this string into this record for beta, into this column. So that's the meaning of this one. Update client set red string where name equals this. Server reads return result string. Select red string column from clients table where the name equals this. So here is where the server is trying to read the result string for a particular client. So it will search the table for the name. So you come here and search. For example, if the server wants to find the result of the execution for beta, first it will search the name beta in the table. Once it finds it, it will then retrieve the red string result, which is this result. So that is what this thing means here. Select red string from clients where name equals this. Server deletes client record. This is where the server can delete a particular record based on the ID. So the server can choose to delete a particular row based on the ID. So these are all SQL languages. So how do we use it in the program? We can use PHP to embed these strings. So this example embedding SQL queries into PHP scripts. We will take the first example, client creates new client record, which refers to this one. So to do that, first we need to extract the name and the IP that is sent by the client red. And this is how we extract it using the post function. We extract the name key, we extract the name value based on the name key and save it into the variable called name. We then extract the IP value based on the IP key and extract the value and save the value to the IP string, the IP variable. Then we open a connection to our MySQL server using the new MySQL function, providing the name localhost because the PHP script is residing on the same server as the MySQL, so you say localhost. The second parameter is the login name. The login name is usually root, and the third one is the password, which is blank normally. And the fourth one is the name of the database, which we will create in the MySQL later. So we are going to create a database called control server that will be able to host multiple tables. And then over here, we can see the string being created, the query being created. So this query is coming from here. Insert into clients the column name and IP, the following values. So what we are doing is we are taking this string and then creating a variable out of it. So we create this string and we save it to the variable called query. Then we use the database, the reference which we got from here, and then we call the function prepare, which comes inside the database itself. So every database has got a prepare function. So we call the prepare function and then we pass it the parameter query. So the query here is this instruction, this query. So after we prepare it already, we will get back a variable and we store it in the statement variable. So these are variables which you create yourself. It can be called any name you like. Thereafter, we will call the bind param function of the statement. So every statement has got a bind parameter function. The purpose of the bind parameter is to provide the values for the two question mark here. So the first question mark is the first S here, meaning string. The second question mark refers to the second S here, which means string. So if you have two question mark, you have two S here, SS. If you have three question mark, it will be 3S, SSS. There are also other types, for example integer, which will be I, and so on. But for our course, we are just going to use strings, so we use SS for the two question mark. So these question marks are placeholders, and when we do bind param, we replace each one of them with the respective variables. So the first question mark will be replaced with the name variable, which comes from here. The second question mark will be replaced with the IP variable, which comes from here. So at the end of this statement, bind param, both the question mark will have the name and IP of the query. Then the last one statement is where we execute it. So the reason why we don't put the name and IP directly in here is to prevent the exploit called MySQL injection attacks, which is a kind of a hacking method to hack into MySQL server. That's why we use parameter binding. So this is how we can embed SQL queries into PHP script. So we'll be seeing more of this as we go along in the course. So this is only one example, the client create new record example. For each one of these, we also need to create the corresponding PHP script, as you have seen here, something like this. So I'll introduce them to you as we come across each one of those query in the practical walkthrough. So that's all for this conceptual lecture on the concept of MySQL. Thank you for watching.